Okay. Red, light is on. Let's go. Hi, I'm Kate. I'm just kidding. God. No, it's not that tough. Okay.
If it's too loud in your ears, I can turn it down.
Remember, we're just having a conversation.
Right.
Just 3 girls.
With mics.
With mics and headphones.
Go out on the
and
internet.
really fancy equipment.
For all 24 followers.
We have 100.
100 followers on Instagram.
Right.
But on Spotify, we have
That's what
24.
we're celebrating this week. A new milestone of 100 people following us on the gram. But we put it on Reddit. I threw it in the Sarah J. Maas. I joined the ACOTAR Discord. So you're going to have to tell me how. I thought we could connect later and you can tell me how Discord works because I don't understand.
It's like a chat room.
I don't get it. It's hard on my phone. I think it's the app. I don't feel like it's intuitive to me, but it's fine. We'll talk about it another time.
Is it hot in here or is it just me tuning in to hear these 3 chatting about fantasy novels of the spicy variety? Not your average book club, if you know what I mean. Are you happy to see us over? Is that a dagger? It's Feast, Sheath, Shatter. It's Feast, Sheath, Shatter.
We have a special guest.
Special guest. She's a
I'm
real
Hannah.
special guest.
Yeah.
So can I break down where we're at? I'm
Yes.
just so excited to not. I'm just too
Yeah,
excited.
no, go for it.
All right. I'm going to probably I'm going to facilitate the conversation.
Thank you.
Just because I'm really excited. So we are doing Throne of Glass. We're back into Sarah J. Maas's universe. We've already done ACOTAR, and we got a 3rd mic. So why would we not have guests?
Exactly.
And so let's just kind of break it down. This is my 3rd time rereading, Rachel's 1st time reading Throne of Glass, and Hannah is a vet. She's been reading us. Tell us when you met Throne of Glass.
I think I met Throne of Glass 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I went through it so quickly that I didn't even remember what I just zoomed through I think the 7 books.
Or 8.
Are you including Assassins?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't read Assassins.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I zoomed through the 7 books so fast I didn't know what I read.
Sure.
And then
Was that your first intro to Sarah?
it was my first intro to Sarah. So from there, then I went to A Court of Thorn and Roses.
Yeah.
And then I was obsessed
Yeah.
on the Sarah J. Maas obsession train.
Yeah. So I just, deep dive. Yeah, I have hyper focused on this for a while, which is why I'm so grateful that Rachel is going to read it with us because she has this very she's coming from a different perspective on how she reads books. And that's she has a good eye for writing critique and the literature part of it versus me who's like, oh my God. I loved it all.
Hot.
Yeah, he's so hot. His penis is so big. But I'm the same. I think I went through Throne of Glass, all 8 books in probably a month. Straight through Audible. Every single one. I think I paid for Audible 3 times that month. I was like, do I want 3 more books for $40? I do.
Yep.
I do. So I'm super excited to talk through this. I have been hyping myself up to get ready for today by watching TikToks in the car, which you should never do. Listeners, don't do that.
Yeah.
But TikToks, just running through them.
Well legally stopped, I'm sure.
Of course, always.
Yes.
Just at the signs.
Of course.
Yeah. But there is this huge community. We've got a TV show coming up. I am so, one of the things, sometimes Rachel doesn't finish stuff. So I'm really excited to, pull her through this with us. And hopefully at the end of it, she'll be just as immersed and obsessed with it as we are. But we are going to attempt to do this podcast a little bit differently than we typically do because we've got Rachel, our first time, middle time, and then you've been into this for a really long time. We're going to try and do an hour of this book, no spoilers. We're just going to talk about this book, and then we're going to do our second half, a second pod.
Super fan edition.
Super fan.
Yeah.
Full Maasverse.
Awesome.
Full series. We've read it all. We know how it ends.
Great.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to. We're gonna try hard.
So the first hour, no spoilers.
We're talking about Selena.
just-
We are focused on
Selena
Throne of Glass.
Sardathian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Selena.
Selena Sardathian.
I love that knowing laugh.
That was like an inside joke.
You can cut that out. Cut that. Cut.
What? No.
Yeah. So I guess a great first place since Rachel, you've never read. What'd
I
you
read
think?
Throne of Glass.
Well, I know, but
Yeah.
your first time.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was good.
Take us through your mindset.
I'm glad I read A Court of Thorns and Roses first.
Sure.
Because now I know Sarah J. Maas likes to start light. We're easy. We're young adults. We're not challenging. It's the same. Yeah, I've read this young adult book before, and I know from here we're gonna go now. Like,
Yeah.
we've established the world. We've dropped a character in there, and now the next book really is. She likes to start in her second book
Yeah. Well, nope. She likes to start in her third book with this one. So
Yeah.
just hang on
later.
for a minute.
She likes to start later.
Well, and she's really, I mean, I think she wrote this book. I think this book came out in 2012. So we're like 10 years ago. So this is one of her first, and you can really throughout this series, and this isn't a spoiler of any kind, but you can really see her kind of blossom because where we start and where we go are very different places.
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah, very. It gets very big.
Yeah.
But what did you think? So tell me about, what'd you think of our main character? Because be honest, because Selena she's a trip.
Yeah. I had a hard time believing her at the very beginning that we get this 18-year-old, which I know I'm supposed to be like understanding about the ages, but they're like, she's the best. She's queen of the underworld. And everybody who meets her, she's like, oh my God, right? You thought I was older. I'm not. I'm like really young.
14.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my God, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's a good thing Kate told me I had to read this. I probably would have checked out at the like, I'm the best there ever was. And I'm, like 18.
Right.
Yeah. So I made it through it.
Yeah.
And I love how it is like not Hunger Games, but it's like trial based. But the
Right.
trials are like, oh yeah, we had a trial like last week, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it was
about
an
like
yeah, we
it was
shoot
like
a bow and-
poisons or something. I don't know. Like
We
I
shoot
just
a bow and arrow.
I think we see 2 trials. We set up like 4 months of trials and maybe 2, like the climbing one, and I think the bow and arrow one, and like the poison one, and maybe one other one, and that's it.
And some we don't even get like a first person account of. We
No.
just get like,
She's like, oh yeah, we had a trial last week. It was like mazes or something. I don't know. I came in the middle. This really sucks.
I don't know. I've only seen it written.
I wish I could be better. Like I wish I could be my best self, and
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to be or whatever.
This book is such a first chapter.
Yes.
Like it is like I just reread it just to prepare for this, and I was shocked at how little is in this book.
Dude, I spoiled this really hardcore for Rachel. Now,
Right.
let's just preface, and I think if people have been listening to Rachel talk for a while now, they know that she doesn't mind spoilers. In fact, she will spoil a book for herself to move through it because she hates stupid endings.
Yeah.
She hates things that she doesn't understand.
You don't want to waste your time if you're going to be furious.
Yeah,
Right.
so there will be moments people are going to be like, oh my God, are you telling her what happens? Yes, because she's okay with it.
Rachel doesn't care.
Rachel doesn't care at all. I am the exact opposite. Do not spoil a universe for me. I will fuck you up.
Cry myself to sleep
I
the
will
rest of the
fuck
year.
you up. I will literally, I used to watch Game of Thrones alone in the dark because I will not have someone else's opinion affecting me in any way.
During Game of Thrones, I would not go on the internet at
Right.
all.
Right.
No Facebook, no Instagram, nothing. Just terrified.
I will watch the second viewing with you, but your opinion will not affect. Do not make noises. I don't want to hear you breathe heavy. I will react
want you to watch something
authentically.
with my mom. I think that would be
Dude,
a really good time.
No, my mom's the same. I'm like, stop talking.
Quit it.
But anyways, so I almost spoiled this for Rachel because I said, oh, so such and such and such. And she goes, I don't know who that is. That doesn't happen in this book. And I was like, what?
Yeah, like almost nothing happens.
Nothing happens in this
Right.
book. Yeah.
That's very Sarah J. Maas, though. She's very much like, okay, well, I'm going to hook you with something fun and fluffy.
And this is baby Sarah writing this too,
Yeah.
right? This
Yeah.
is not the same Sarah that wrote Crescent City. I mean, same person, but like you can tell she's
Definitely.
Yeah. Did you ever read Sabriel? Did you ever read that fantasy book?
No.
So it's an older one. I thought you might have, but it's written by Garth Nix.
Oh.
And that is where Sarah J. Maas kind of started her fantasy journey with. But that's who Nix is named after.
Oh.
Isn't that cute?
Yes.
Right?
That
So
is
I
cute.
thought you might have picked that up because you've been reading for so long.
No.
Yeah, but it's more of a vampire. More vampires.
So then I'd probably read it now that I know it exists.
Yeah. But yeah, you're totally right. It's like not a lot happens.
No, and structurally, it's. I don't think she's grown structurally because she's still not a planner, and this
No.
isn't a planned book, and I can tell you it's not planned.
Yeah.
But character-wise, she has gotten better at characters. It takes her a while to nail Selena.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
a
and
while.
if you read some of I was going through Goodreads today and reading some of the criticism of her character, and she does seem like 3 or 4 different people.
Yeah.
We've got the person who just came out of being enslaved.
Yeah.
Well, that to me is the most. I mean, you have magic, you have creatures and all, but the most unbelievable part of this book to me is that someone who has been traumatized as much as this little girl has can still be so lovable. Like, she's very charming. She's very, immediately hooks 2 guys in love with her.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's lovable.
Yep.
How?
Yeah. And there's a lot of
And we have
theirs.
nightmares sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I have excuses and reasons for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I thought about it.
Okay.
I'm always about that BOD, that benefit of the doubt. And so I'm thinking like, what do we know about Selena? Well, we don't know much. And I have to remember we don't know much.
Yeah.
We come out and we learn that this 18-year-old girl, and what we've learned is that in these universes, 18 is more like 28 because of the type of, it's like medieval times,
Yeah.
right?
It's a different time.
It's a different time.
If you die at 40, 18 is middle age.
Yeah, so we try and be a little bit forgiving of that.
Right.
But sometimes the emotional maturity isn't necessarily But you're right. We get this, she comes out of this year in the salt mine where most people don't make it 3 weeks, 3 months, right? We learn that she's the biggest, baddest bitch that's ever lived. She's famous for being a murder queen.
Which I feel like if you're famous as an assassin, have you not failed at being an assassin?
Well, maybe, yeah. I feel like they're like it's like a gunslinger,
Yeah.
right? We're not like, we can't think of it as a ninja. She's not, she's
Right.
not.
But if you're supposed to be like stealthy murder.
Sure, but is
Vixen.
that the thing though?
Yes.
Or like in this community or time, maybe being an assassin is like being a movie star that murders.
Again.
Well, there's the Assassins Guild.
Right. There's like a guild for
Right.
this obviously
It's a
respectful profession.
It's,
Yeah. You got sex workers, you got assassins, you
It's
got
a career choice.
princes.
Yeah.
It's right. But I think we also get this kid that loves candy.
Yeah.
We also get tiny little glimpses of these people in her life that we have no idea who they are and 0 answers. And I know that pissed you off. And we got to talk about that.
Yeah. That's why I had to Google it.
Like she mentions Airman once. All of a sudden she's like, Sam would have liked to be here. What? Who?
Yeah.
Who's that? She mentions a friend that fucked her over really hardcore that we never hear about ever again.
There are tiny little
Little Easter eggs.
mentions of things that are a pretty big deal later on.
So she's planning some stuff. It's just not.
I almost felt like you should definitely read 1 and 2 together.
I think that too. Now I feel
Almost like 1, 2, and 3 should have been one book.
Just one giant ass book.
yeah. I mean, kind of.
We could have cropped half of this out. And
Yeah.
it'd been fine.
Yeah.
She's always like, that's weird that guy's wearing a black ring. Oh, it looks just like that guy's black ring. Oh, that's not significant. That's fine.
We're going to forget that ever happened.
Maybe they're best friends and they're like best friend
It's a friendship ring.
It's a friendship ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what?
No, oh, wait. You know what pissed? Okay. So,
Go for it.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen. It's easy in this one.
Yeah. I had to vent at Matt to move past this part. And it's your ancestor from 1,000 years ago.
Oh my God.
Finds her way to you
Oh my
from
God.
across the veil. And she's like, I need you to do the following things to save the world. And she's like, do I though? Do you have my best interests in mind? I don't know.
Wait, how do you know she's her ancestor?
It doesn't, I don't know. Why wouldn't she be?
Why would she be? They don't say that.
You're staring at me in a very significant way. And
But they don't say that in this book.
Oh.
And that's one of the most annoying things ever.
I figured she probably was.
Wait, we're coming at this as if we're not. No spoilers.
No. Okay,
But you think that Elena has some sort of connection to Selena.
because she was able to contact her.
Sure.
Yeah, and because she was like, hey, you know my tomb that you just kind of happen to be in the room that has the door to my tomb and stuff that nobody knows where it is and it's been lost and there's this legendary sword that you've in no way attempted to take or bring back or I was just like, okay, but no, her immediate distrust of what's her name? Elena.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her immediate distrust of Elena. And then every time Elena appears, she's like, I don't know if I want to do what you're telling me to do. And it's one, she's telling you to do what you already want to do anyway. So it's no hardship for you to go ahead and just do. Why wouldn't you just be like, okay, well, maybe I should take a moment and consider actually listening to you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It really bugged me because it reminded me a lot of her other characters where anytime anybody, no matter how significant, tells them something, they're
Stubborn to the point of stupidity.
They're like, I don't know. That might save my life, but I want it to be my own idea that saves me. I don't want it to be yours. It's weird.
Well, and that is, I think that, and I'll have to save this for the second hour, but we were at a point when we were talking in ACOTAR. I mentioned when we were talking about being stubborn to the point of stupidity, when you're so hard-headed that you get in your own way. I feel like Selena does that more than most characters.
Yeah.
And that's why doesn't she think about why is this 1,000-year-old princess queen
be more shocked?
Oh,
But it's only been 10 years since magic has disappeared from their world.
right?
And I guess that's kind of significant, it's not like magic has been gone for 1,000 years and you've never even heard of such a thing. So, her kind of blasé attitude about, her ancestor ghost showing up might be a hint that, she is more accustomed to magic than.
Well, and it's almost like I don't think Sarah J. Maas has realized how smart her audience is yet. And she will tidbit for us and drop these little breadcrumbs. And we're like, why would you move forward? We got to talk about the breadcrumb. Why aren't we talking about the giant white elephant breadcrumb in the room?
Right.
Why are we not talking about that? Why are we moving forward? Why would our character just not think about that more? But something that she uses as a plot device, she doesn't do that in this book. Never mind, I can't talk about that right here.
Yeah. There's so little
there's a lot
to
of-
talk about.
So the thing is, we can talk about Dorian. We can talk about Dorian and Kale. What do we think about
And how
them? We can talk.
all of her female characters always have dudes just
Obsessed.
always. They're
Yeah.
always a source of obsession.
Well, that's because she writes men the way we want men to be, thoughtful and considerate and interested in us.
It's the two men at once. I haven't been this conflicted since Edward versus Jacob.
Oh,
God.
that's so funny that you bring that up. Twilight comes up a lot in this on this pod.
in this space.
Yeah, it comes a lot. In this 10 by 10 room, it comes
Yeah.
up quite a bit.
I didn't know which one I figured since there were two of them, we are probably not going to pick either one. But I didn't know which one I would have wanted her to end up with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I'm always reading these books. I'm so quick to be like, oh, a romantic connection. Cling to that. I want this. And I think in the reread of this, that was definitely something where I was like, oh, now that I know where this is going. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I see this a little bit. Because it's not, her connection with Kale is always a little flirty, but also very contentious and very like, ugh, leave me alone. Also, can you train me tomorrow?
Yeah.
And
A lot of ribbing.
but kind of
Friendship.
flirty ribbing. Yeah, it feels
Like
very
a flirty friendship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it feels like connective, but at no point are you ever really like Dorian. To me, first of all, I will say this, and Dorian is Reese and Rune. He looks just like him.
Okay. I can agree.
He's got the bright blue eyes.
Yeah.
Right?
The black hair.
Sapphire eyes that
Yeah.
he didn't inherit from anybody, and nobody knows where he got them from.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Icy blue, you might say.
yeah. Like, right. And then Selena has turquoise eyes with this like golden
Gold
ring.
ring.
Right. So, and we see her be so shy around the king. Like, she won't look at him. She's
Yeah,
like,
that felt very strange.
and intentional almost.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when she's a very, in your face.
Yeah.
Kind
Every
of
type of
person,
person.
except for
Yeah.
the trauma that this king of Ardalan, Ardalan. How do they say it in the book? Ardalan?
Now that you've said Ardalan,
It's
I
wrong.
cannot say it right in my head.
I only read
And
it.
that's not right.
I've only seen it written.
That's not
It's
right.
not right. Ardalan. No, Ardalan.
Does she have a glossary? We just run with
She
it.
does. Get out the book. Ardalan. It's Ardalan. Ardalan.
No, that's not right, but I can't think of any other way to say it now.
It is though. Ardalan.
Ardalan?
It's going to be 15 minutes of the podcast. Ardalen?
In Dovier.
Arda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caltaine. Ardalan.
Okay, we'll just go
It's
with
like
Ardalan.
it's like an Ardalan.
Executive decision.
Okay. Wait, Hannah, you can.
No. I'll think of the perfect way to pronounce it
Tonight when you're
Later.
asleep.
at 3 a.m.
When this comes out and
And
you're
I'll let
listening
you
to
know.
it and you're like, no, it's like this. Oh, God, never mind.
Yeah.
Next time, put a pronunciation guide
Okay,
on our
I will.
whiteboard of
Well, and I
memories.
Ardalan. It's Ardalan
Okay,
Sure.
Ardalan.
because that's how Elizabeth Evans says it.
Yeah.
Love Elizabeth Evans.
Yeah,
She
might have to
narrates Crescent City, too.
she does.
Oh, is
you
it
might
the-
have to hack my Audible. I'll just give you the password and maybe
Won't be that
listen
hard.
to the next book or listen to one or two of them so you can get a little bit. Because I wanted to talk a little bit about the experience versus reading it versus listening to it.
Okay.
But circling back a little bit, just I guess these characters. Like, what did you think of them? Who did you like more? Who did you like, Dorian or Kale or?
I think I like Kale better than Dorian. Dorian just felt like,
Blah. He's like a pretty
he's
prince.
He's a pretty prince.
But
I mean,
you do get hints that he's a decent person.
he feels sheltered or like he knows his dad does terrible stuff, but since it doesn't happen to him, it's intellectually terrible.
Right.
Like when he goes to the mine and he's like, oh, yeah, the mine's kind of shit.
Well, and Selena is the same way in
Right.
a lot of ways. Like both of them have to come to a point where they're like, okay, this isn't right. I can't allow this. I have to do something now.
Yeah.
And right now they're at the, blinders on
Yeah.
Yeah.
point.
Well, and Selena is very, she is one of those people that I feel like she can't understand something unless it's happened to her. Like, if it's her friend, she cares. If it's not her friend. And so much of that comes from being an assassin, right?
Yeah.
If your job is to murder people, but you're still able to. If your job is an assassin, right?
Right.
so you kill people for a living,
Kill them.
but you're still able to emotionally connect with other people, then you really only care about people that you care about.
Right.
And we see that a lot.
Or she can compartmentalize.
She compartmentalizes really well.
Yeah.
And I think in this, you get the idea. I mean, one of the themes throughout this series is secrets. It's more mysterious. There's a lot of things that you don't learn. And like what you hate about them not giving you, it's our orgasm structure all over again.
Well, it's not that she's putting this stuff in there. That's fine. You can put as many little Easter eggs as you want. It's that they're giant fucking neon Easter eggs. And she's just like, I'm going to hang this on the wall right here.
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about this for 8 books.
Right.
But I want y'all to remember it's there.
And it's almost like she didn't have a good flow for how smart we were and how much we wanted to know.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll see that. You know, you see that less in Akatar. She's better at
Sneaking them in.
and giving us the validation for them a little bit sooner. But this is an entire book of just like open-ended questions.
Yeah. She also shifted point of views more in this book
Yeah.
than she did in Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yep.
And I think that's because there are so many, talking about the series as a whole, there are so many main characters.
Yeah.
Like there's so many really important points of view that you get. It's not just Selena.
And it's there's a shift though. So, and I don't think this is spoiling anything, but our first 2 books up until our 3rd book are very like isolated almost. And then all of a sudden in a later book, you get boom, boom, boom. And all of a sudden you're in love with so many more people. And so there are things about Selena's character that are unlikable. She's extremely hot-headed. This is a fire sign, y'all. This is a woman with nothing but earth and fire in her chart. And I know that. And she is just hot-headed, quick off the mark.
Quick off the mark.
Knows everything.
Knows everything, but super like still loving and caring. And we get these moments where she's vulnerable. And I think that's something that's kind of
blushing, teenage girl around
Yeah.
Dorian.
Who occasionally just gets hired to kill people.
right. And I think in this book, it is challenging to believe that she's so many parts of a thing
Yeah.
because they are very like, she is the best assassin that's ever lived. Like, okay, well, why? What's special about her that makes her so good at killing? I mean, we're supposed to be thinking about that.
Yeah.
Why is she so good at killing? What makes her special?
Yeah, that's not natural.
That's not normal. Also, you love candy a lot, right? Me too. I love candy. But she also loves dresses. She's also feminine
Yeah.
and also a murder bot.
A murder bot. Yeah.
Bot.
I think I would have liked a little bit more of like Selena assassin personality.
Yeah.
We got a lot of her like fluffy recovery. Hey, I get to live in this castle and I'm doing this thing and it's not great, but at least I'm not in the salt mines, which I'm totally not traumatized by at all.
Yeah.
But if you had told me without continuously hammering me over the head with it that this character was supposed to be a renowned assassin, I would not have believed you.
Yeah.
Because there was no point where I was like, oh yeah, this is a character that's completely capable of like going to a party and killing somebody.
And she's also this, like, that means she's the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
And she's the most forthright and the best at planning and the best at strategizing. And you really you get this outline of this character without the, like, I'm just telling you, there's no work.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and I think that's definitely something that probably pops up for people when they are reading this book. That was a lot of the criticism that I was reading on Goodreads, why
Yeah.
people didn't like this story. But I think there is something entirely, when I listened to it, I definitely was like, I got to start the next one right away.
Yes, because I love Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
It's good because I
Okay.
just love
I
Sarah
love
J.
her, but I don't think this book should have been a book. I think it should have at least gone with the second one.
Yeah, but this is Baby Sarah. We got to remember that. This is her
Baby
first one.
Sarah.
I wanted to look at, something I wanted to look at was the timing of it. Like, if you finish this book, how long did you have to wait for the second one?
Yeah.
That's a very
And the
good
third one?
question.
Because I had to wait 15 seconds.
Yeah.
I did not have to wait. I binged
Yeah.
the whole thing.
I think if I'd had to wait, I would have forgotten.
I would have
Yeah.
just
I would have
forgotten
forgotten
about
there was
it.
a second one.
Yeah.
Because this feels very old school YA, like very
Yeah.
young YA.
Yes.
YA has
Very
gotten
PG.
older.
Super
Yeah.
PG. In fact, we don't get not PG till way later.
Yeah, because
Like,
even,
I
till, like, book
forgot
5.
how PG it was.
even when we're talking about Sam, like every time she met, she's like, yeah, we liked to kiss. And I was
good at
like, is that a
kissing.
euphemism? Or did we really just
Right.
like to kiss?
No.
No.
She's serious. They
Yeah.
just kissed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Dorian's like, well, she's a virgin.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Yep.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, fuckboy Dorian over here.
Yes.
And like there's you just getting like a little taste of all these characters. Kale, there's parts of him where you're like, okay, Kale. You know? Okay, Mr. Captain of the Guard at
Yeah,
23.
he's
Mr.
your
Broody.
upright, honorable, whatever. And
Yeah.
then Dorian is the like fun, irresponsible, whatever character.
And I think the one of the major draws is you really do want to know all the answers to all these little Easter eggs, right? You want to know why don't we know the King of Ardalan?
Just go with it.
Ardalan?
No, it's all wrong.
The
The king's name? We don't know, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. Duke
just-
Parrington,
I need to
total
like
asshole.
walk out into the woods right now and figure out.
Ardalan.
Just stare into the sky.
Ardalane.
Sarah, give me the-
Ardalan. Ardarlan. It's fine. So we get so Caltaine, right? She's a cool character in this.
Caltaine.
She's got a heroin addiction. We get a little substance abuse.
Right at first
yeah.
you think, oh, I hate her. But almost right away, you kind of get the feeling that she's a victim herself and that there's definitely more going on there.
Yeah, because it's almost like she's being whatever the headaches are that she's
Yeah.
getting every time
Yep.
Duke PP is around.
Parrington.
Duke Parrington
Parrington.
is around.
The most British sounding name. In
Yeah,
all time.
every
Duke
Parrington.
Yes.
Parrington.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alderland.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think this story is this book is so typical for these young adult fantasy
Yes.
series.
Yeah. I've read this. I haven't read this book before, but I've read
You've
this
read this
plot
book 20
before.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw this thing reading today, and it had never dawned on me that this was supposed to somewhat be like a Cinderella story.
I read that too.
And that is not a thing.
Well, Sarah J. Maas said that she thought of this plot because she was thinking about Cinderella running away from the ball.
Right.
And she was like, why is she running?
Right.
Not because it's midnight, but because she just killed somebody. I don't
Yeah.
I don't really remember exactly her train of thought, but yeah, I'm thinking, how strange is that?
Yeah. Well, and it's just like the name of the story is Throne of Glass, but we don't really get any emphasis. So there's a castle
There's a
that's
castle
entirely
of
made out of
glass.
glass, which is kind of weird and wild.
Yeah.
We live in we get this magic has been completely eradicated for 10 years. That's a huge deal. We know that Selena is from Terrasen, which we get little tips, little tidbits of.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, Terrasen, cool. We get at the very beginning of it. This to me was the most infuriating Easter egg to me. Oh, there's little tiny children from the forest giving you flowers like you're somebody special.
And we aren't fucking going back to that.
And we're not
Hope
going to
y'all
talk about that
liked it.
again
Is that in this?
in the
Yes,
very
the
first
very
3
beginning.
chapters.
Yeah. She falls asleep in a
when they're
tent.
going back. Okay, when they're
When they're coming from
And she's
from
like,
the
oh,
salt
Endovier
mines. Yeah,
to Rifthold. I love that I have the names written.
this is
And
great.
they're the little children of the forest. And she's like, oh shit, children of the forest, leave me alone. You
Yeah.
don't know me.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
early.
And then we get tidbits of her memories, but just small pieces of it. It's
Yeah.
like, if you're going to give me anything at all, give me what I think is a complete story.
Right.
And then you can build on that story later. That's fine. But now that you haven't given me the complete story, I'm left over here like, there's more to this story than I thought there was.
We talk about the tower a lot. Nothing about the tower. We talk about the gargoyles a lot.
Oh, the goddamn clock. She's
The
always
clock.
like,
The
she's
clock.
like, oh, that's a weird clock. Huh? I'm not going to investigate that
The
at all. And she's like,
markings.
oh, there's like markings on the ground. I'm not even going to. That's
Yeah,
probably fine.
the word marks are really cool. Like, we kind of get this idea that, oh, that's a way to do magic when you can't do magic.
Which is why we have
Nehemia.
Nehemia. She's our audience stand-in for the word marks. Word marks.
Yep.
Because she's like, oh, yeah, I know all about those. I'm not going to tell you shit about them, but
Yeah.
I know.
Well, and Nehemia and Selena's relationship, I think that one thing I love about Sarah J. Maas is her use of different types of love. And I really am attracted to how often she uplifts and supports friendships.
Yeah.
In all of her stories, your court, your pals, your friendships, they matter just as much as your love interests, just as much as your family. And so understanding that Selena at some point had a woman cross her, like this friend of hers, like just stab her in the back. And we get a glimpse of that. She mentions it in one chapter.
Yeah.
In one paragraph, we get hey, that happened. And then her realizing that, she does have this bond with this other woman, and they can tell that they're kind of like, they're filling each other out, but they're kind of on like the same pedestal, like they're at the same place, but they get that vibe and energy from each other, but they're not sure like why.
Yeah.
Right? So they call it a different thing.
Do we know how old Nehemia is?
I think she's like 23.
Okay. She gives off a much older feeling to
like
me.
mid-20s, later
Yeah,
20s.
like 26.
27.
She's a far more solid character
Right.
than Selena. So that's probably why. She's much more nailed down. She's much more consistent, and she's far less
She
hot-headed.
knows who she is, and she has a goal, and she has a plan.
Yeah.
And Selena is just kind of
Flying by her seat.
yeah. She's
Everything
along
is
for the
happening
ride.
to Selena.
Yeah.
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 She didn't have a choice. She had to be here. She has to win. She,
Yeah.
Yeah, and the compartmentalization that she does, I mean, she got her back ripped into shreds. Shredded into ribbons.
Ribbons, thank you.
such a visual.
I know. Well, okay. Wait, did y'all get my assignment, and did you do the assignment?
I did do the assignment.
Okay, I have the best ones. Rachel's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I do. I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
but
got
we can
distracted.
talk about that later. But yeah, I think she went through a lot of trauma, and she's really trying to, it is kind of commendable watching this young adult figure out how to be all of these different things at one time and completely avoiding the pain. I mean, she even talks about how she never thinks about her life before she was 8. Like where she came from before Arabin found her doing whatever. She never talks about that. She never thinks about it. It never comes up. And if it does, she loses her mind. The piano,
Yeah.
an instant trigger for what her life at some point was. But we do get a glimpse. She's very educated. She's smart. She can play the piano. Like you immediately get this vibe from Selena that she's not just some assassin. That
She's a lady.
she's a lady. She knows how to be a lady. She knows how to be proper. And she feels like she's on the same level as all these other characters. She has no
The other court ladies.
And that's-
she can, talk back and
bebop
forth to
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's used to people waiting on her. You definitely get this version, like the confidence that she brings to the room is really likable, like you said. She is endearing, but she can be really hot-headed, and she, yeah.
My favorite thing ever in books, well, just ever, is a female badass.
A baddie.
So, especially, physically.
Right.
When the woman is the toughest, the most, the biggest, the
Yeah.
baddest, the,
There's no question that you're the most competent person in the room.
Especially when they still get to be feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've
yeah, I
talked
love that.
Yeah. And they don't have to. Why don't you walk us through that? We talked about that in ACOTAR a little bit.
Yeah, just that a lot of authors equate strength with masculinity. So if you have a strong female character, often they're portrayed as masculine. The tomboy, I hate skirts. No, I'll never wear high heels. I can't move right in them or whatever. So it's nice when you get a character like Selena, who is the most confident, most physically competent person in the room, but she can wear a ball gown with embroidered beadwork on it.
Yeah.
And still be just as comfortable.
Yeah. And she is a little arrogant. We get a lot. She's very arrogant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And like when she has to be called Lillian and she doesn't get to be Selena, and she has spent, they found her when she was 8 and she's 18 now. So she spent 10 years, a decade of her life, the majority of her life, becoming this person. And she's like, excuse me? I'm sorry? I'm sorry, you want me to what? Pretend like I'm not that person?
I worked really hard to be this feared person, and I have to act like I'm just some lady, just some regular woman.
Yep.
Yeah, jewel thief.
Lillian, the jewel
The
thief.
jewel
Get
thief.
the fuck out of here. That's what she's like, get the fuck out of here.
That's the dumbest cover.
I know. And
Yeah.
yeah.
They're like, you're trying to get back at your dad, so you're like stealing stuff.
And weren't there other jewel thieves in the Hunger Games? I mean, the
Yeah. And that is something we have talked about. She does have strong female characters in this. I mean, Selena and Nehemia and Keltane. But in the challengers, out of the 23 challengers, she is the only one that identifies as female, right?
Yes.
So that is one. Did you pick up on that?
Yes.
Were you like, I hate that?
I'm like, well, of course she's gonna win now. All
Yeah.
the other ones are dudes, and the biggest and the best is like the burliest dude.
Yeah.
But she's like, that's so weird that you know what? Okay, this was another thing. So they're having these murders, right?
Right.
Murders where people are brutally disemboweled.
Yep.
Have their internal organs removed and are missing.
The brains are gone.
Someone has taken their blood and painted symbols around their body. And they're like, oh, yeah, must have been a drunken fight.
This should be front page news.
What does a drunken fight look like in your world?
Right.
If this is like, oh, yeah, he must have tripped and fallen down the stairs and his organs fell out on the way down?
Yeah.
What the
and his skull is empty?
It takes them so long to be worried about it. And by
Yeah.
the time, and the only reason they ever get worried about it is because Selena shows up and she's like, why are we not more worried about this?
That is one of the things in books that is the most annoying to me. And I do make space for the fact that, I'm really into astrology. You'll hear me talk about it a lot. I'll be like, this character's like this. It's a way for me to understand the differences in people and the way that they think. But I'm a very curious person, and when you are not thinking about the mystery that's right in front of your fucking face as much as I am, the reader, because you're just good at compartmentalizing it and pretending it's not happening, I can't. It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
And that happens in this part of this book a lot.
Yes.
Now, granted, I really want to say I love this book. I love this series. I love these stories. So, I do like all of these characters a lot, but
this is where we really saw the hand of the author. She was like, I don't want you worried about this yet. I want you to see it.
yeah.
But I don't want to talk about it yet. Because if I do, then we're going to start endgame for the plot.
Yeah.
So I have to drop these, but then make them feel like they're not a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, then don't give me all of these fucking details. Don't
Yeah.
tell me they got disemboweled and then have Kale be like,
Well, and I'm just thinking
because now my estimation of Kale has gone from here to about down here. Because this is clearly an emergency situation. And you have someone who's in the you live in a world with magic. And if she's so acquainted with magic that ghosts don't feel that spectacular, then the idea that someone is stealing someone else's abilities shouldn't feel that foreign. Especially when you have what is obviously a ritual.
Right.
And then you have someone in your immediate group that you interact with daily who is clearly advancing in skills far faster than they should have been.
Right.
And they're
Looks
wearing
like he gained 10 pounds from
they're
3 days
wearing
ago.
a fucking magical ring that their biffle is also wearing.
Yeah.
And at no point are you like, that's a head scratcher. I
Yeah.
think
Look at these black
maybe
rings.
I could put a couple. And she's just like, well, that's an interesting ring. Wonder where you got that.
Right.
And that's it.
Kale
Yeah.
doesn't seem like the sharpest tool in the shed, you know, when you look at it like that.
Yeah, that's
like,
what. If
because
you
at the beginning, Dorian's like, well, I'm sure it'll be solved by tomorrow with you on the case.
Right.
You know,
Well, and
something
then
like that.
you're
It's
like,
no.
no.
If you think
He's
about
not
it-
looking into it at all.
no.
I'm going to bring this into the real world. But it's like Selena is like Selena Gomez, and Kale and Dorian are like Hailey Bieber and Kylie Jenner, the Nepo babies. Their lives have been so... Like, Kale was just handed this guard job. Granted, he might have trained his whole life. He's never killed somebody.
Yes.
How can
Another
you...
unbelievable thing.
Yeah.
You
Right.
are captain of the guard and you have never
Well,
He's been
it
in
just-
school.
but think
He was
about-
I mean, he's a school kid. He didn't...
Yeah.
He's never been to battle.
But the king of Ardalon... Is that
Yeah,
Nope.
just go for it.
it? Okay, is that it?
Yeah, you know what?
Ardalon.
It is for the
I
Strange
How
and
does
Beautiful Book
Elizabeth
Club.
say it?
I don't know. I'm telling you, I can't think of any other
Ardalon.
way to... Ardalon.
The KIA. KOA.
Ardalon.
Ardalon. Ardalon. Anyway, sorry. So the king, the KOA. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I saying? What was I talking about? I don't remember.
Kale appointing Kale. Kale's the
Right.
captain
So,
of the guard.
but I mean, so 10 years, this king is a fascist dictator.
Yeah.
He is a, like, that is word. Everything he says is Bible.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Word.
Yeah.
Word.
Like, he doesn't, they have grown up in a very, I mean, for lack of a better word, kind of safe. He doesn't even have to manage stuff. The king, it's almost like Kale's job is, what's the word? Where he's like a figurehead.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, just for
ornamental.
show.
It's like ornamental, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of gets to guard people, and he takes it really seriously. But it also seems like the Duke of Parrington, the Duke of Parenting, the Duke P,
Yeah.
and the KIA, nope,
KOA.
KOA, are like doing their own thing too. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't necessarily trust
He's
KO.
not in the inner circle.
Yeah, they're like, you know, and Dorian's doing his best, and he can kind of see, but they're all reading books all the time. So
Well, no TV, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are
you gonna
and
do?
they have millions of books in their library.
yeah,
Millions.
that's only for them.
Millions.
But they counted those 200 years ago,
Yeah,
so it's
I know.
probably more now.
Probably more. How fucking big is that library? How big is this library supposed to be?
Well, and you know, I love that we see that in every story. Sarah loves to throw books in. Everybody loves books. If somebody likes books, you can trust them
Yeah.
Yes.
every time.
It's true.
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is baby Sarah writing a story about herself.
Yes. Yes.
I think Selena,
Yes. That's why Selena's the most beautiful, the smartest, the fastest, the strongest, the best. The
well, actually,
all the
if you
things.
think about the way that Selena's described, she gets described as like commonly pretty, like girl
Yeah.
every girl, like girl next door pretty,
Like
but
she
she's got
shines up well.
but she shines up well, and she's got a couple features like the color of her hair, which is like
and
white
her eyes.
blonde,
Yeah.
and her eyes are turquoise and gold, but she's not
She's not stunningly
the
pretty.
stunning you think she are.
Right.
But-
But, she's
but
confident.
she's very
She's
confident.
like, I was prettier before I got so skinny, which is
Yeah.
Sarah J. Maas's favorite. You can tell I went through trauma because I'm really
I used
thin
to
right
have
now.
boobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know how you can tell I went through trauma? I'm not thin.
Yeah. We've
Yeah.
discussed this before.
Yeah, we
I'm
have.
sorry, but I eat my feelings. I do not eat my feelings. So this would be
I
like,
don't know what it means to not be hungry when you're stressed out. It's not how I experience life.
That's not real life to me.
Yeah, I want chocolate cake.
I
Where
think
is
the
it?
vast majority of people would be like, well, not in the salt mines, obviously. Cause,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on the salt mine diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, but consistently her
No, I know.
characters. Consistently, her characters get skinny every time they're stressed.
Yeah.
Which you can't flip that script as an author and navigate that with gentleness. The
Right.
like your character ate their feelings for 3 months because they just had a really hard time.
Yeah, their boobs got huge.
There's
Yeah.
that's a whole different
Yeah. thing
thing to navigate. So
Right.
it's the easier route. So I get
Yeah.
it.
Well, and we see that so often when people fill out, like Nesta.
Yeah.
Remember Nesta went from her emaciated
Yes.
drunk body
Yeah.
to her
Yes.
training with my boy Cassian every day.
Boy, Cass.
That's my dog. I love him so much. I'm obsessed with him.
That twinkle in your eye right now is just
I
wild.
get so stoked about Cassian. I love him. But yeah, she does that frequently, and we do get a little bit of that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see a character just get super stressed out at work and put on 60 pounds.
Yeah, me too.
I could relate to
Yeah.
that.
You're like, oh my God, real life.
You know who would do that? Bryce. Wait, or did Bryce get skinny? No, Bryce would do it.
Is there anyone who we haven't
Touched on?
really talked to? Like, what about the king? Like, we don't see him a lot because
No.
he's
No.
away
He's
for a lot
really
of this
absent
book.
in this book. And he's kind of like our big bad, but like it kind of feels like the king is in this book. In this book, it feels like the king is like the Thanos and Duke Parrington is our like street bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Our street level bad. And we don't know anything about that. We do pick up on all these like little really evil things that we think are happening, but we don't really have an idea.
Yeah.
And so Cain ends up being our, antagonist in this book. And Cain has learned how to summon the Ridderak.
Ridderak.
I think the only
Yeah.
reason that we're even afraid of the king at all is because Selena is
So afraid of him.
Yeah.
Like, that's all we really know about him.
Right. Well, in the Ridderak, too, that's a great point you said earlier. There's a mystical 1,000-year-old ancestor lady, ghost,
Yeah.
force ghost, that comes, the Ridderak, which is a demon from another world. Oh, that is something I want to talk about. We already get the talk of portals
Yeah,
and other
word
realms in this story.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Word gates.
word gates, portals. She
Yeah.
talks about them opening to another realm. The talk of like demons and these other creatures. Like we're already getting
Wings flapping.
wings
and-
flapping. Yeah. So we're getting some of these bigger picture things really early in this story, but with no real explanation.
No.
But at the end of it, you guys, she wins. She wins. She's got some sort of word mark on her forehead that we don't get an explanation for.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
I wonder what that means.
How about you both look at me after you say this question?
I have no idea where that came
What could that
from.
be about? Yeah. I think this is a good book. I can tell this is a setup.
Yeah.
If I
it
had
was a
started this
setup.
book without knowing how many were, if I had read this book, like this just came out, it's 2012, I picked it up off the shelf. I don't know that I would have remembered to read the second one.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's striking enough for me to have wanted to go on. Just because I think there's problems in her, there's problematic writing, which is just her being immature as a writer at this point. This
Yeah.
is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And like 15 books.
I will say this. I picked up the physical copy, or I was reading it online, but I was reading it before I was listening to it. And it was really hard for me to start and get through. I like kept going in and kept trying to get through those first couple chapters. But once I got my Audible and I started listening to Elizabeth Evans, I loved it. And I think one of the reasons why I really stuck with it is because I love the way she reads her books. And she does, I think she does a great job of her different man voices, right? You can really judge a
Yes.
female narrator by her
Yes.
man voices.
Her
and
man voices are on point.
Her man voices, Rune, Hunt,
I forget
Dorian,
that I'm listening to
Kale.
a woman. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I try and talk like that sometimes. I try and talk.
Selena.
Oh, hey, Selena.
You're looking very pretty today. Yeah, can't do it.
Nope,
Can't
it doesn't
do it.
sound good. It doesn't sound good. Well, and what's funny is, I will say this, at the start of the story, Dorian has a villain voice. The way she does this accent where they're like, hey, or wait, there's like a officialness to it. I
think
I
at
wish
the
I could
beginning
replicate
he
it.
was
He was-
just being the
But she
the
read
scary prince.
She
Yeah.
read him like she reads her villains.
Yes.
So I'm trying to think of like Parrington's voice does this thing.
Ho-ho.
In yeah, like a official accent. That's not it
Yes.
at all. God, I could do it earlier. But and then in Crescent City, she does the villain voice, the villain male. But as the story moves along, she pulls away, and Dorian's voice becomes more like Kale,
Friendly.
Hunt, Rune's voices. So I really like her, and I get stuck with her. And I think, and I've seen this written in other forums, that this is one of those books where sometimes it will pull you along with the Audible version.
Yeah, better than the text, I would say. There were several times I had to stop and just be like, I need to unload about this fucking book for 5
Was
minutes.
that like
and then I
15
can get back in.
Was that like 15 seconds in because you read so fast? I
We
don't know
had
if you
to.
Speed reader.
I don't,
No.
Yes.
I
Uh-huh.
am the slowest reader on earth.
Yeah, sub-vocalizing because you're reading it out loud in your mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm reading it out
Rachel-
loud. I have to say each word inside my head.
Rachel doesn't do that. So she reads at like 450 a minute.
I didn't know until I did this podcast that,
Yeah.
It's a superpower.
that people read aloud in their heads. So.
Yeah.
I didn't know that people did not read aloud in their
Yeah.
heads until I saw a TikTok on it, actually.
Yeah, I do too. I sub-vocalize. And you can practice not doing it because I feel, and while we're here, I want to bring up the Infantasia stuff. So let me ask you, Hannah, when you close your eyes, if I say picture an apple, can you see an apple?
Yeah. You told me to picture it.
I can't do that.
What do you mean?
I don't see visions. I don't see images in my brain. And
I saw a red, perfectly shaped apple with the stem and a little shiny spot on the side.
in your brain.
Yeah,
Is
just
it
right
but
here.
it's not on the back of your eyelids.
It is on the back of my eyelids.
Is it on the back of your eyelids?
Or the front of my
No.
brain.
Because you told me you're not seeing it on the. You said, what'd you say yesterday? It was really funny. You were like, it's not like I'm watching a picture show on the back of my eyelids.
Right. I just I close my eyes and I can see it.
Okay, so when you're reading a book, is it like a movie in your brain where you
Yes.
can see it? That's not how it is in my brain. It's I feel colorblind.
Huh.
There is no picture, but I can see it, but it's not a picture. If that makes sense. I don't
Get
have
the
an
concept.
I don't have an, yeah, I think of the concept. I don't see an image. And you see images. You only see images.
Yes.
And I don't see them, and I feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah.
But I
the
dream.
movie's really cool.
But I dream. I can see things when I dream, but I really, really, really quickly forget the visual.
See, do you dream vividly?
Yeah, when I dream, it's very.
I have very vivid dreams.
Well, and now it makes sense when you're an artist that you see a picture in your brain and you take your hand and you make it do what your brain's doing.
right.
I really, until a few days ago, did not understand how some people were better at that than me because I do not have pictures in my brain. So,
But you hear things in your brain because when you read.
do you have an inner monologue?
I told you that. I don't think
I'm
it
starting to
works.
think I've got way too much going on inside
Yeah,
my head.
I have a really strong inner monologue, but I don't see pictures. Anyways, but I have to mention in every
Wow.
pod how fast Rachel reads.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's contractually obligated. She missed one. She had to mention it twice.
Yeah,
And
I
the
mentioned it a
next one
couple
she was like, yeah, because when we started, she's like, "You already read it?" I was like, "Yeah, I already read it."
She reads a book in like 2 days. Meanwhile, I'm like, the apple was by the tree. It fell into the ground.
It depends on how engaged. If I'm really into the book, yeah.
Yeah. So there's this one book. It's called The Priory of.
Orange to Orange Tree.
Yeah, have
Priory
you
and
read
Orange.
that?
I haven't yet.
I have started it like 10 times, and I've heard it's really good, and I cannot do it. So I might try it one more time. But I've heard it's really great.
Maybe try the Audible.
Oh, I have.
And still
Not
no
right-
go.
No
Not
go.
right before bed.
No go. No go. Yeah. I just finished reading a book called Frost. That was great. And the second book, was terrible.
I hate that.
It was terrible. I almost wanted to suggest that it be one of our books, but I think it would make you too angry.
Well, that might be good.
Yeah, maybe.
If
A
you
book
really
that
get
we
me
both
going,
hate.
it's like, and here we go. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and a book that we
Yeah.
both
like
hate.
City of Nightmares. I thought that was a really good episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Well, and yeah, sorry.
She's a very similar narrator to the narrator from City of Nightmares, where she's all like at the very beginning. She's a little bit broken.
Except for Sarah J. Maas always has an editor
Yes.
that makes sure that there's consistencies throughout the book, and it's not.
I just mean like she kept coming out with snarky comments.
Yeah.
That I was like, is this a moment where you would be snarky?
Yeah.
Or does Sarah just want you to be snarky right now?
Yeah.
Because there are definitely times where she'd be like about to shit herself in front of the king. And then she turns around and walks 10 steps and she's like, I got a pithy comment for you. You want to hear it? It's like, wow, whiplash. Thanks,
Yeah.
Selena. That was really nice.
Right.
Like you need some everyone needs recovery.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost like she's a shapeshifter.
Almost like she is. Almost. I don't know about that though.
Hey, we just hit 1 hour, 1 minute. so
Awesome.
it's
All right.
fine.
Well, we're gonna wrap up our first time read.
Yeah, this was just Throne of Glass.
Try to not spoil it.
First
just
chapter.
the first chapter
Yeah.
of this series.
I'm excited to see if we have more meat to discuss
this-
after we finish the second one.
And we probably will.
Yeah.
But it was nice to meet all these characters. I'm excited to see what happens to them in the second book, even though I know all of it. And you know,
so
good
excited.
luck. Good luck reading. And
Thank
we will
you.
talk to you next week about the second book. And now turn that shit off and let's start actually talking about it.
Super fan edition.
Super fan edition. Wait, do you want to plug the Instagram?
I can. Yeah, we have an Instagram. It's at Strange and Beautiful Book Club. It's still at 100 followers.
Hell yeah.
I think it might be at 102.
What? That's 2 in like
know.
2 days.
Yeah. So if you want to go join it, that's where I keep all of our updates.
Yep.
I haven't been updating with what books we're reading, but I'm going to try to put together a little schedule so
Yeah.
we can all have a schedule to follow.
Yeah.
We also have a Patreon, which we still have the Patreon that we don't know. She hasn't left yet. So
Oh, great. It's probably because you've mentioned her in every podcast you've done.
I did say we should get a shout out.
Meg!
So many.
Meg, you're still here with us. Still giving us $1 a month, Meg.
No, she's a night. She's just $5 a
Oh,
month.
wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's about it. So I guess we'll see you
Awesome.
next time, friends.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for being here, Hannah.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay.
Is it hot in here or is it just me tuning in to hear these three chatting about fantasy novels of the spicy variety? Not your average book club, if you know what I mean. Are you happy to see us? Or is that a dagger? It's feast, sheath, shatter. It's feast, sheath, shatter.
Sorry, I forgot to silence my phone. Rachel's so pissed right now.
You can tell by my face.
Yeah, you can do the nose
hopping
flare. She's normally stone-faced unless she's angry. Okay. Just kidding. It was feedback on a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.